Yeah, it comes down to making connections and building relationships with people, whether that's in the inbox or in the DMs. So it's really great to have a cool lead magnet or like a podcast that's your top of funnel strategy, or like I have a free Facebook group that's a great list building top of funnel strategy for me. It's really fun to see people want to opt in and my subscriber account growing, right? That's exciting.
You are listening to Amplify Your Success Podcast, episode 492. And today, let's discover how to grow your email list and leads organically every day. You ready for this? Let's get started. Welcome to the Amplify Your Success Podcast. Get ready to ramp up your revenue, amplify your impact, and make your mark in the world. This is the show for experts, thought leaders, and service professionals who want to shatter their limits and achieve that next level. You're going to find out from other experts and influencers how they made it. Now, let's get amplified. Hey there, inspired entrepreneurs and business leaders. It is your host, Melanie Benson, founder of Rising Tide Collective and the new Substack, Growth Fuel. So today I've got a guest joining us to talk about your email list and how to attract organic leads. And she's got some amazing insights. I can't wait to share her with you. But I got to say, one of the things that has fueled my business over and over and over again is it is absolutely collaboration. And I've been collaborating since around 2002. I accidentally stumbled into the power and the gold that is inside of strategically partnering with the right people. This is why I built my Rising Tide Collective. This is why I've opened up a Substack dedicated to what happens, the fuel of your business when you collaborate in the right way. But I've also just opened up a new quiz. It's a self-assessment style that really helps you understand if you have what I call the collaboration X factor. Unlocking that clarity of where you are in your collaboration phases, because we have 3 phases that we move through, and what might need to shift so that you become the person that the best partners seek out, and it feels like win, win, win growth fuel for your business. I'll link it up in the show notes, or you can head over to melaniebenson.com/X Factor. Go take that assessment. It'll take less than 3 minutes and discover where you are on your journey to opening up an extraordinary source of clients, opportunities, and leads. Now let's get into today's guest. Welcome back, Amplifiers. I'm so jazzed about today's conversation. I know I always say that, but I get to talk to the most amazing people on the show. Today, we're talking about how to grow your email list and leads organically from social media. And this conversation, so fire. I can't wait for you to hear the whole thing. Let me introduce you to Tracy Beavers, CEO and founder of Tracy Beavers Coaching. Now, Tracy has a proven track record in business growth. Has an award-winning career spanning 20 years, and she's guided hundreds of entrepreneurs to grow their business visibility through organic marketing strategies. We all like organic, right? Less money, but more results. She's also a public speaker, a published author. She's been featured on a lot of really cool platforms like CBS Television, The Wall Street Journal, and even Kajabi. She's the creator of the top-ranked business podcast, Create Online Business Success, and now she's joining us to drop some really, really awesome insights on how to make your list grow organically. So, Tracy, so glad you're here. I'm glad we're finally getting to have this conversation for the Amplify community.
Yes, thanks so much for having me.
You are so welcome. And we were kind of joking around about this as we were in the green room, but like what we're talking about today literally is why we are here. Like
Right.
we connected online through, I believe, probably one of your techniques. So it's fun to
Yeah.
see it in real life, right?
Yes, for sure. It's always fun to, use the online space in a way that leads to a true human connection and building a relationship, especially this year in 2026. That is what it is all about.
Yeah.
And I am here for it.
Me too. Yeah, I think I can honestly say there was no AI involved in the
Right.
integration of our relationship. It was all human.
It was all human. Yes. I know how to use, this will make you laugh, Melanie. Tech is not my love language. And when somebody says, "Oh, there's this new tool out there," my brain immediately goes, "No, I don't want it. I don't." I'm like so averse to new things, new tools. And so it took me so long to even absorb ChatGPT and like come to a relationship with it. But that's really the only one I use. So yeah, no, your girl is not good with the bots and the things and the yeah. Nope.
I will admit I probably am not an early adopter. I'm a mid-tier adopter.
Yeah.
I am a tech junkie. I came out of a tech Fortune 100 company,
Hmm.
and technology was always a big part of it, but I also I'm not always like the first to jump on board, so it takes me a
Yeah,
little while to warm up and see, is it worth my time and energy? So I hear
exactly.
you totally.
Exactly.
Well, let's talk about email lists,
Yeah,
which is an interesting transition from technology because it is technology driven. And
right.
I mean, I don't know when you started, but I think I started my email list in
Mhm.
2001, 2002, somewhere in
Nice.
there.
Yeah.
Yeah. Certainly not the same email list, but well,
Right.
and I remember the moment when I knew that this was something I was going to have to focus on. And I'd
Mhm.
love to start with like hearing your point of view in today's market when there's so many
Mhm.
different technologies, so many different things we have choices around. Why do we need to have an email list?
Yeah, I love this question so much. And I know your listeners have heard this before, but it cannot be overstated in my opinion because it is so important. So just yesterday, Facebook had a massive outage. Now, it didn't affect my Facebook account, which was interesting, but some of my business besties, we were voxering back and forth, and they're like, "Is your Facebook down?" And I was like, "No." And they're like, "Mine is." And then they went over to Down Detector, and they had had a pretty big outage for a significant amount of people. And I'm sure you'll remember a couple of years ago, Facebook and Instagram both went dark for about 36 hours. And I've been part of the Meta Leaders Network for years. Facebook invited me to be in it. I can't even remember how long ago, maybe 4 years ago. And what was so heartbreaking, Melanie, was when the lights came back on and we were all in the back in the Meta Leaders Facebook group. Thousands of small business owners lost a lot of money because they rely solely on social media platforms to reach their clients. Now, in the opposite of that, there's a big name that I've followed for a long time, and she has an email list. I'm not even sure that her team told her Facebook and Instagram were down. She just kept on chugging, and she sent a couple of emails and made $14,000 in that 36-hour time period. And so the lesson learned is I'd rather be in the $14,000 camp and able to reach my people and my subscribers and my clients when I need to. Because if I just rely solely on social media, whatever platform it is, whether it's Substack, YouTube, Facebook, Instagram, you name one, we don't own it. And so I can't make the mistake of trusting that company with what is the gold in my business, which is the email list. I need to be able to reach you, right?
Absolutely. And I have heard this for so many years, even before we had all these social media platforms and other ways that we could connect with people. And I think it kind of gets back to having a way that you commit to being in connection with your community.
Yeah,
And email is absolutely the thing we can own the most. I think
correct.
we're still technology we can't control, but
Yes,
it
correct.
is our closest thing to being able to own the way we connect and communicate with our
Mhm.
communities.
Right.
Now, I want to go just a step deeper here, and I would love to hear your thoughts on this.
Okay.
I really think we understand theoretically I need an email list.
Yes.
But then there's what we do with those connections that
Right.
actually unlocks the gold in our
Mhm.
emails. What do you think many people are maybe missing out on where they maybe are gathering leads but not necessarily seeing the gold in their email list?
Yeah, it comes down to making connections and building relationships with people, whether that's in the inbox or in the DMs. And both are strategies that I teach. So it's really great to have a cool lead magnet or like a podcast that's your top of funnel strategy, or like I have a free Facebook group that's a great list building top of funnel strategy for me. It's really fun to see people want to opt in and my subscriber account growing, right? That's exciting. But if I don't do anything with that, if I don't talk to those people, then they're not going to convert into buyers faster. And so I have come up with some really creative, fun ways to actually get my subscribers to reply back. And it's some of the simplest ways you could ever imagine. But that is how we are going to unlock the gold in our email list and also online with the people that are our friends and followers. Because a massive vanity number of followers, while it's really fun and it feels really good, unless you're actually building relationships and having conversations in the DMs with those people and they're joining your list, then it's not going to translate into money.
Yeah, totally agree. And I think people forget that you need to keep having a conversation.
Yes,
You didn't win
correct.
the email gold lottery just by getting someone to sign up on your email list. It's what
Right.
happens after
Correct.
that keeps people engaged and keeps
Yeah.
them wanting to stay connected.
Yeah, the list is just just the start of the journey with that person, because that's the top of funnel. They're coming in. They may be a little warm to you. They may not. And we've got to, it's our job to nurture them, uncover their needs, and move them through our funnel to where they decide to be a buyer or not. It's okay if people decide I'm not the right fit for them, but it's my job to build that relationship to the point where they can make a decision. It's either a heck yes or a heck no.
Yeah, absolutely. Uh, we're talking about social media, Facebook specifically. I know you also are pretty visible on LinkedIn.
Yes.
But I think a lot of people are confused these days about how to be visible online
Mhm.
as part of their lead generation strategy. Like
Mhm.
you say, we could do this with ease.
Yes.
So what does that look like?
Yeah. So, what I help my students and clients do is build what I call an organic visibility ecosystem. And it is a system of strategies that I developed by myself when paid ads were a major fail, not once, but twice, and very expensive, I might add. So, I kind of went back to the drawing board and went back to my roots of business development and marketing from when I was in corporate. And I had to just really get creative. I knew there had to be other ways to grow an email list and connect with my ideal clients without creating yet another free lead magnet. And so that's what I teach about using every nook and cranny of the online space. Specifically, I teach Facebook. Now, my strategies that I teach, you can take to any platform. They'll work on Instagram, LinkedIn, they'll work in communities like Mighty Networks, Circle, Heartbeat. But I love Facebook because it has the most nooks and crannies for list growth and visibility, and ways to connect with our ideal clients. And so I teach them how to do the build the ecosystem without having to be online 24/7 and without having to pay for ads. So for Facebook, for example, you need some content on whatever social media platform you're on. You need some content. But then you need to find ways to pull people to your list, to have those conversations in the inbox, uncover their needs, convert them to buyers faster, or have a conversation in the DMs. So just yesterday, I was on a group call and the conversation was so right up my alley because one of the ladies was saying, I just need more followers. I need more followers. I need more followers. And we were all like, you don't need more followers. You need to go deeper with the people that have already raised their hand that want to follow you. Because if we're not having those conversations in the DMs and uncovering their needs and leading them to our list, that's a mistake. And so part of the ecosystem is making sure that your social media profiles, wherever you have one, are dialed in for list growth. And on Facebook, Facebook makes it super easy because the cover photo is clickable and you can put a hot hyperlink in the description box area after you click on that cover photo that leads directly to your list. And it's one of the ways that my list grows by hundreds of people every single month because I showcase my free Facebook group and people want to join it. Online entrepreneurs, want to be there. And when they come to the group, I have the membership entry questions set up in the way that I teach, where people want to give me their email address. And then I can also, because they've joined my group, get into the DMs with them and have that real human conversation of, I'm so excited to see you, Melanie. That, welcome into my group. You can do this, you can do that, you can engage, you can post, blah, 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 blah. And, let me know you got this message. Let me know if Facebook delivered it. And then we start having a conversation. And it could turn into you needing my help as a coach, or it could turn into what we're doing right now, which is a collaboration that's amazing for both of us, because both of our audiences are going to benefit from what we're talking about today. So it's just it's a holistic ecosystem. I just love the word ecosystem because I think it paints a really great visual of
Yeah.
layered strategies in the right order start to execute the results for you.
Yeah, I think I'm hearing ecosystem more and more because I think many people are realizing that doing things in this one-off manner is
Mhm.
creating a lot of efforting that doesn't produce consistent results. And we
Yep.
have to look at the entire integrated system or the overall strategy, and ecosystem
Yeah.
just captures that so perfectly. I love
Yeah.
it.
Thanks.
Okay, so we're talking about having ways to engage people on Facebook in particular. And I
Yep.
love that you're kind of bringing back the Facebook group because I
Yeah.
think it's kind of gone in and out. And sometimes they work well, and sometimes people go, ugh. This is not
Yeah.
working for me. But what I'm
Right.
hearing underneath of it is really a intentional strategy.
Very, very intentional. It's in intentional strategy with everything that I teach, because part of what I help my clients and students do too is determine the amount of content they have the bandwidth to do every week consistently. But then we make sure that that content has intention behind it. Because content for content's sake, Melanie, you know this, it's just noise.
Hmm.
So everything we do, I want them to keep top of mind. Every road needs to lead to your email list. All roads lead to list building. And what I mean by that is whatever action you're going to take right then, I want you thinking, how can this grow my list? How can my content grow my list? How can my free Facebook grow my list? How can the DM conversation I'm going to have with Melanie grow my list? Every single thing we do. And Facebook groups, oh my gosh, I still have people say to me, I thought Facebook was dead. And I'm like, it's not for me. It's where I built my business and, completely organically and, meet hundreds of people every single month. Um,
I think it's
yeah.
how people use it, right? I mean,
Yeah.
I've been on Facebook, I don't know, since 2007, 2008, whenever it was, it kind of started getting going. And people are shocked when they hear, like my Rising Tide Collective, my online community,
Uh-huh.
I filled that group
Yeah.
through a few key posts on Facebook.
Yep.
And I think it's worth talking about content on
Hmm.
Facebook. And I know this is a big part of what you teach around being visible and organic lead generation. Like, what's the difference between content that works and content that just kind of disappears into the noise?
Yeah. So when we're developing our content, we need to ask ourselves, is this content do I want this content to drive engagement, meaning conversation online, getting people commenting so that you can take the conversation offline? So when somebody comments, likes, hearts your content, they need to get a DM from you that
Mm.
says, Hey, Melanie, thank you so much for loving that post I did on XYZ. I'd love to know what your thoughts are on that. And you start that conversation. Um, but more specifically, and my brain just shut off, Melanie. What was,
What
I
kind of
literally,
content works and what
thank
kind of
you. Oh
content is like
my
falling flat? I
stars.
know, so many places
I,
we could go.
I blame menopause. That's just it. Just being real. So we have to ask ourselves, do we want people to engage with this? Am I wanting to spark conversation or am I wanting to grow my list? So the call to action will either be for engagement, that is strategic content, or the call to action will be for list growth. So come join my free Facebook group, or hey, here's a great resource that dives deeper into what I just talked about in this blog or in this LinkedIn newsletter or article. Yeah. and or DM me. That drives engagement as well. But if all we're doing is putting out content that doesn't have a next step with it, then it's wasted space. It's like, okay, well, you made a statement. People don't know if they should engage on it because you haven't asked them to. People don't know that you have something that they could learn more about what you do and what you just said. You've just basically posted about something and made a statement, and nobody knows what to do with that. A lot of times we think, like for my students that tell me, they'll say, I've had a Facebook group for a year. It's dead. Nobody's engaging. Nobody's doing anything. And I go in and do an audit on the group for them and come to find out they're just making statements
Mhm.
and they're not asking the people in the group to engage. And they're not getting into the DMs with the members of their group to check in on them and to build an actual community. Because in a community, people are talking to each other, right? So what they've created is a stage for them to stand on and an audience for people to watch them. And that's not what we want in a group like that. We want a community. So
Mm.
that content needs to your audience take another step with you.
That's such a powerful distinction. And I recognize like I've probably been guilty of the stage
Me
versus the
too.
engagement in the past. And really learning to bridge that gap is where you start to see a lot of impact from a Facebook group like that.
Yeah.
I want to circle back to something that you brought up, which is moving conversations into the DMs.
Hmm.
And I'm just gonna, like talk about the pink elephant in the room.
Oh yeah. Let's do it.
So sometimes people hear like we're going to move the conversation to the DM, they're like, like the
Uh-uh.
resistance goes up because so
Yep.
many people experience the dark side or the downside of those DM strategies.
Oh
But
yeah.
I know what you're talking about here, and this is where it's really powerful. Can you
Yeah.
maybe draw the distinction between the repelling kind and what we're doing with this strategy that really does open up conversations?
Absolutely. Nobody likes to be cold, pitch slapped in the DMs. And it still happens to me. And I'm telling you, Melanie, it breaks my heart. I just look at it and
Yes.
go, we say in the South, bless your heart. And sometimes it's actually we want to bless you. And sometimes we're shaking our head going, what in the world did you just do? And so that's how I feel about those people. I'm like, oh, bless your heart. Nobody taught you how to do this. So what I'm not saying is to get into the DMs, friend request somebody or connect request somebody that you've never met and making an awkward DM about it. That's not what I'm talking about. And I'm definitely not talking about pitching anything right off the bat. So what we're doing is it's I want people to visualize what would you say to somebody that you just met in a coffee shop? Or maybe you're both standing in line at the coffee shop and you're going to strike up a conversation because the conversation in the DMs is the same as what you would say as a human in front of another human. It's the location of the conversation that has changed. It's no longer in person. I can't see you. I can't see your face. Now, I can hear your voice if you send me an audio, which I think is genius because they can definitely hear the intent of your message that way. But our brains think we have to do something different in the DMs, and it's because of the location has changed and it's online and it feels weird. It's not, it's the same. So, for example, and if people are wanting to start a DM strategy, make it simple on yourself. The easiest thing to do is when you are in a community with somebody else, whether you're on Mighty Networks, Circle, Kajabi communities, or a Facebook group, you can totally reach out to those people. Send them a friend request, connect request, and then be like, Melanie, you and I are both in the XYZ group with so and so. I checked out your profile and I see what you do, and we share the same audience. Here's what I do. I would love to talk to you about potentially having a collaboration. Are you looking for more collaborations in 2026? And you're either going to say yes or no. But to me, that I would be thrilled if somebody sent me that message. It said, "Hey, I see what you're doing and I think it's really cool and I share the same audience and this is what we could talk about. And, what do you think about a list swap or what do you think about being on my podcast or, that kind of thing." Or if you have and if you've met somebody in a virtual networking session And most of the virtual networking sessions I go to, they encourage you to put your social media link in the chat so that you can connect with that person. So, what that DM looks like is, hey, Melanie, I saw you in the virtual networking session today. I didn't get a chance to say hello. We weren't in the same breakout room, but I'd love to connect here if that's okay. Did you make some great connections? But you always want to end your DM in a question because, once again, we don't want to make a statement. Because if you make a statement, your brain isn't prompted to reply back. But what I want to do is I want to prompt your brain to reply back with a question. And so those are very easy things to do. Now, some people, I've had some people be rude about it.
Yeah.
They're like, I'm not comfortable with the DM. Well, you know what? Okay, cool. Thanks. Lovely, lovely to meet you. And I'm just going to quietly exit stage left, and I'm going to go find people that are my people. But it's
I,
just all about being a human.
it is, and I mean, it's a accelerator in my opinion,
Yes.
right? And
Yes.
I mean, so let's unpack how we got connected. We
Yeah.
were actually having content that was catchy to each other. So first
Hmm.
step,
Yep.
content that attracts. And I believe you actually led the process. You started commenting and engaging, and I was like, okay, who is this? And I'm checking her out, and like we moved the conversation to the DM. We're like, we have a lot of synergy. Let's have a chat. And then we
Yeah.
opened the door, and and this has been being nurtured for months.
Right.
But I think what you're saying here is so important. This distinction, we are not pitching, we are
No.
connecting.
Yes.
And when
Because
you lead with that, it makes a big difference.
absolutely. Because the sale that everybody's worried about, being salesy, being spammy, being pitchy, whatever, the sale, if there is one to be had, will take care of itself in the course of the connection and the relationship. That's how I was successful in sales for over 25 years in corporate. People were always asking me, how are you growing these businesses so fast? What? And I'm like, I'm being a human being. I am going out and meeting other human beings and I'm having a human being conversation and I'm getting to know them. And then if I uncover that you have a need for what I do, I'll share it with you. But I'm going to have that conversation with you first because we never know. I didn't know if you might need what I do, and you didn't know if I might need what you do. And what we ended up uncovering was that we both love collaborations, and I've got a podcast and you've got a podcast. And so that was the next logical step. And whether that leads to income in the future, neither one of us know, but that's kind of the exciting part.
Yeah. And that's my pillar, my model is win-win-win collaboration. When we
Yeah,
kind of lean into that, you never know what magic
you
will
never
unfold.
know.
And I love so many of the stories of how things maybe nurtured or simmered for a while and then something unlocked. But
Yeah,
let's go back to this moving into clients and building our email list.
yeah.
I just want to check in because we've covered a lot of ground here. Is there anything else you want to share about what's working organically on Facebook to inspire people to get into our list and then we build the relationship there?
Yeah. So, and somebody asked me this just earlier today on another interview if lead magnets were dead.
Mm,
And I was like, nobody had ever asked me that before. I'm hearing a lot in the last 6 months that courses are dead. Of course, you and I both know they're not. It's the do-it-yourself course that you can probably even find now through AI that's dead. The courses and programs that have the human component to it, like what you and I have, those will thrive this year. But lead magnets, as an example, using those in the online space is a good idea, but the lead magnet has got to be valuable. My audience is tired of the checklist, the cheat sheet, the downloadable PDF. That's not doing anything for them anymore. If you're going to give them a downloadable PDF, you need to have a short video with it to let them dive deeper into the content. But as far as using the online space for list growth, I do think lead magnets are still very effective. It just depends on what you're offering your audience and what they're really needing.
yeah. And I know we're talking about Facebook, but let's go inside the meta universe for a second. And
Sure.
I mean, Threads for me is
Mhm.
gangbusters. So I know a lot of people are like,
Amazing.
one more platform, really? Well, I
Yeah.
was huge on Twitter back in the heyday before it got taken over.
Uh-huh.
And Threads to me is another version of that. But what's happening there is what you're talking about, human conversations. And it's a
Right.
place where I can kind of feed in once in a while a
Hmm.
lead magnet. And
Hmm.
it's amazing how many people don't ever even acknowledge it, but they're getting on my list. And
Uh-huh.
I just literally had signups to my next event from people who met
Nice.
me on Threads, and I was like, I didn't even know we connected. So
That's amazing.
it's really it's again, it's playing the content game and really,
Mhm.
touching people, moving into conversations, engaging them. But I love that you're talking about the lead magnet because I let's not throw the baby out with the bathwater. Just
Right.
fine tune it so it keeps fitting what people need now.
Yeah, for sure. Make sure it's something that they really want and that can really help them. People are looking for a quick win. And if you can give that to them and then you're showing up as a human being, you're that's a home run. They're like, okay, she's like me. That's what they want to know. Is she like me?
Mm.
You know, and when we start to show that human side and that we're not just saying, buy my stuff, opt in for my thing, did you get my free lead magnet? It changes the dynamic.
Yeah. Well, I love this conversation so much, and you're inspiring me. Like, I've recently brought one of my Facebook groups back to life, and I'm like, okay, it's
Nice.
time to really lean into that and create a community there that is the conversation that I think a lot of people are having. So, you've
Yeah.
inspired me today, Tracy. Thank you.
Yes. Oh, that's so exciting. I'm glad to
Yeah.
hear that.
Yeah, you and I'm hoping as you're listening in today that you're inspired to really prioritize growing your list and using some of the assets that are right here in front of us. And Tracy, I know you've got a resource that can help us do that for people who
Mhm.
are ready to dive a little deeper into this. Where would we start them today?
Yeah, so what I have for your audience is a guide to creating social media content with ease. Because we do have to have content every week, week in, week out. What we don't have to worry about is trying to post 7 days a week on every platform. I am living proof. You can pick one platform, go all in on it, post a couple of pieces that are valuable each week, and gain visibility, list growth, and buyers. Because when I started building this business, it was alongside my corporate job. And the training that I have for your audience is what saved my sanity. Knowing how much content do I need, how can I prepare it in a faster amount of time because I was so limited on time back then. So they can go to tracybeavers.com. I'm sorry, it's going to be tracybeavers.biz/amplify. And it is my social media guide to creating 90 days of social media content topics in only 30 minutes. And then using my system, you take that one topic that you've outlined for that one week, and doing 90 days of it gives you 12 weeks of content topics in the way that I teach. And so you just look at that one topic and you create your weekly content on that. And now we have AI. You can repurpose your one piece of content that you created, like your podcast, your blog, or your live training, into some social media posts, put them out there on the platform, make sure that they're going to drive to your list or engagement, and you're good. And then you move on to the next week.
Hmm. It's beautiful. I love it. Thank you for sharing that. We will link that up in the show notes as well, just to make it super easy for you to go download that great resource. Tracy, this is the time in the conversation I like to just kind of circle back to some of your journey as
Yeah,
a business owner. I'm always fascinated, especially people that have been in business for a long time, like
me
some
too.
pivotal moments. But I think right now, because we're seeing so much change in our industry, it's really powerful to plug back into why we do what we do.
Oh, yes.
And I would love to hear what's the ripple you're making in the world right now?
Oh my gosh. I do love to think about the ripple effect of our work. And it's something I help my audience do, my students and my clients, because sometimes we think we're not making a difference. Um, so the ripple that I am told that I'm putting out is one of inclusivity and community and kindness, just radical generosity. We were talking about our superpowers in my mastermind a couple of weeks ago. What's the Achilles heel in your business, and then what's the superpower in your business? And of course, we went around the room, and I lead the mastermind. So they were at the end, they were all like, "Well, what's yours?" And I was like, you know, I'm told it's my inclusive nature and my want of helping other people build their dream. And so, I'm famous for making connections for people and opening doors and asking, hey, what are you looking for? Who can I connect you with? So I think that's the ripple effect. What about you, Melanie? What's yours?
Nobody's ever asked me that on this conversation. Mine is to give, especially women, but also men, the connection to their lighthouse message. Like, what's the light they're bringing to the world, and how are they going to amplify that in a greater way? I think so many people allow some of the fears and the uncertainties and the second guessing and a lot of those habits to filter what they put out in the world. And
Yes.
I'm here to unlock that brilliance in a powerful way and let it shine. So
Take
that's the
that
work I love
filter
doing.
off.
Yeah,
Yep.
take that filter off.
Take the
All
filter
right,
off.
last question for you.
Okay.
If you were to go back towards the beginning of saying yes to this career, and you had a big, bold decision to make,
Mm-hmm.
a little terrifying,
Mm-hmm.
knowing it's necessary.
Mm-hmm.
You waited a little too long to make it, but then you did, and it was the greatest decision you ever made. What
Mm-hmm.
would that be?
Actually, it would be um, starting the business alongside the corporate job because sitting in the corporate job, I knew that was not the future for me. Just too many things had happened that I was like, this is not the space for me anymore, no matter who I'm going to end up working for. And the alternative of working for myself was very scary because my dad was self-employed for my entire life and he made it look awful. Like it he made it look like a grind. And I thought, okay, I'm not happy in corporate. I don't want to do what my dad did. What the heck am I going to do? But some very lovely women that I was in a mastermind with at the time helped me see that it didn't have to be that way. And also, I was having a little bit of an all or nothing mentality because I thought I either have the corporate job or I quit that and I start this business. And they were like, no, why don't you just get started, on the side? And I thought, okay, but I did it. And it was scary. At the time, our kids were in high school and middle school. This was years ago. This was back in like 2019. And they played every sport that had a ball. And we were so busy. And I wasn't sure my husband was going to support me, even though he is my biggest cheerleader. He's still not quite sure exactly what I do, which cracks me up. But he's the first one to go, hey, how'd your podcast interview go? Hey, how's this going? And he's so cute. But his only concern, and rightfully so, was okay, we're not going to derail our retirement plan, right? Because, you leave corporate, you don't have the 401k. Are you going to make any money to put in the retirement plan like you have been? And once I showed him that that wasn't going to happen, then things were good. But that was a very scary decision. And then when my corporate job ended, I built this business alongside that for a year and a half. And that job ended because the national company that I was working for closed our office here in Little Rock. And I had to make a decision. And I was like really scared because I thought, okay, here we go. I'm diving off the diving board. Like, all right. And my husband said, and he didn't mean it to sound this way, but he goes, well, let's just see where you are in about 6 months. Well, I heard the tone I heard it in was, well, let's just see where you are in 6 months. And I was like, oh, hold my purse and watch me, you know, I'm going to make this happen. So that was huge for me. It was very scary. But here I am all these years later.
Yeah. Give a powerful, determined woman a deadline, and she will show you what's what.
Exactly. Yes.
I had one of those myself in the transition.
Yeah.
It's like line in the sand. You're doing
Right.
it or you're going back to a job.
Exactly. Yeah. Here we go.
Wow.
Here's the
I'm
big,
so glad
big
that you did,
reveal.
and I'm so glad you're here to do the work that you do and making the ripple that you're making. And I know the Amplify community is just so um, they are so blessed to have your wisdom today. So thank you, Tracy, for joining us. And as you're listening in, first of all, Tag Tracy and I on Facebook, or if you're more happy on LinkedIn, that's fine. Tag us and tell us what you're putting into action from this episode, because we want to know this is not just more interesting information, but you can do
Right.
something with it. So
Yeah.
thanks for being here today, Tracy.
Thanks for having me. This was great.
Thanks for tuning in today, Amplifier. We're going to keep this conversation going, and I want to hear from you how you're going to amplify your authority and make a greater impact. Before you go, please take a minute to give our show and our guests some love over on your favorite podcasting platform. Subscribe, rate, and review. Leave your full name, and I'll spotlight you and your authority on social media.